I thought I have never received $10,000 a week. I have never received that before. I have never seen that before. I am nowhere near that. I don't even make 1/4 of what they are making. So it's an online facade. Some people are making it physically, but if you're staff nurse in one place like how I am, you can't make anything like that. You were going to say something.
Yeah, and I think the picture we paint for people out there is what makes them think that things are very cheap and luxury. Luxury comes by silver platter. No, you have to sacrifice, as you said. Even in the UK, if you want to make good money, you can decide to quit NHS if you have an indefinite leave to remain. I know we'll get there later in the interview. So you can quit NHS and then you do agency. You'll still be working in the NHS, but through a private company, just like it's happening in the US. You make very good money, very, very good money. People travel to the islands, the other islands of UK, Isle of Man, Isle of Wight, and then they stay there for 3 months, make good money and come back. And then, but you are not getting any pension, as you said. You're not getting any annual leaves. You would have to do that yourself and then put those measures in place. You are sacrificing your family. You're sacrificing other things to get that money you want. But I believe that life is not all about money. So you can plan, as you said, to have 3 years if you are single to make that money, and then draw back and settle in to your family home and work more steadily than wanting to chase it when you have a family already. It will not be good for you. It will not be good. Yeah.
So I didn't know you had a travel nursing thing over there. So you do have that? Wow.
So they call it block booking. So
Block booking.
Yeah, so so if I was in London and then I hear that Leeds have got very good rates, so if they are paying £40 an hour, and then I am on annual leave or I have indefinite leave to remain, I can come here and then stay in a hotel or in their hospital accommodation for probably 2 months, work, get my money, go back to London. When I went to Wigan, I saw the number of blacks coming in from London to work in Wigan because at that time their rates were very good. Their rates of pay were very good. So people do it. So traveling around. So the agencies will tell you, okay, we've got block booking for this trust in this place, in this city. Are you interested? We've got shifts here. So apart from the block booking, people do weekly shifts and then agencies as well and get good money. So the salaries that the NHS nurse will be receiving, they might be receiving ×3 or ×4 because they are working through agency and because they are not getting any other benefit or cover for their life and professional stuff. So they give all the money to you, and then you choose to decide what you want to use it for.
And that is very, very disastrous. If you're not a good money manager, that much money will get to your head and you might not handle it well. The travel nurses living large, going here and here, because they take like 2-3 months, they take a break and tour the world and come back and all that. So if you're not very good, have self-control, have financial discipline, you will struggle in the future. And so I was gonna say something, I forgot. Is there, I just had a tough block right now. Oh my God, I was gonna say something. So which cities in UK is Black friendly or African American, I don't know, Black friendly, and maybe you see a lot of Ghanaians or a lot of Nigerians, so you see, where will you recommend? What are your five cities that are friendly for people to come, people of the African race to come settle in?
So what I've heard, so that if you go to Birmingham, and Leicester, it's Indian populated, but Birmingham has got good representation of blacks in there, especially in Wolverhampton. I had lots of Nigerians in there. And quite recently, I've seen a number of Ghanaians go in there as well. Manchester has got huge Ghanaian populations there. I'm in Leeds at the moment, and Leeds has got huge Ghanaian populations. So you come here, you see lots of Ghanaians. Even when you are moving on the water, you you just hear people speaking the Ghanaian languages. So it's quite cosmopolitan. So Leeds, Manchester, Birmingham, and then even if you go to the south, even in London, is suburb called Croydon, Peckham, and one other I've forgotten. They also get huge Ghanaian populations in there. But as I say, I don't want living in typical Black communities. That is me. People would want to live there. People want to live in probably larger white dominant communities because it's quite safe. And then you look at the securities in these areas, and then they are also questionable. You see, if you check the security ratings of the various cities, you see that the cities that are more cosmopolitan have the list of securities. You see, there are lots of stabbings and gangs and that kind of stuff in there as well. So if you are able to drive, I would probably advise you stay out. Even if it's in those cities, you stay a bit afar from those dominant cosmopolitan areas, and then you drive in to get the stuff you want, your African market, your African stuff, and all of that. You can get them there.
In Leeds right now, right?
Yeah, I'm in Leeds. I'm in a suburb of Leeds, about 20 minutes drive from the city center.
So the room you are in right now, can you give me a price range? For a 2-bedroom, how many pounds is it?
So in this area, it will be between 550 to 700 pounds.
Okay.
Yeah. But I was paying 1,250 in Surrey, and that was 3 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. So probably by now it's about 1,350 something. And apart from that, you incur other costs. You pay council tax. Council tax is, if it's 2 adults, up north, elsewhere, you're paying about £100 or equivalent. And then south, we're paying about £200. See, and then your car insurance, the city you live in, as in everywhere, also determines it. So the busier the city, the more likely you're going to pay more on your car insurance. So you'll be paying car insurance as well. You're paying electricity and water bills. If you have gas, you pay for that as well. And you'll be fueling your car. So you check, and probably at the end of the month, you're spending everything you have on these basic things. So it's the extra work that you do that might lead you to savings. And that's where you have to be smart. You don't work hard, you work smart. And then you apply some common sense in your finances to be able to save. So people think those in the UK are stingy. They are not stingy. They are conservative because that's how the system is. It's not that society where you can make money easily. So people are very cautious on the penny that they are spending. Yeah. If you are very, very, reckless with your finances, you will always be spending from your credit card, and your credit score might not be good, which will affect other things as well. So you need to be checking on these things as well.
Our systems are not so different. You mentioned credit card, you mentioned credit score. We do that here as well. So a good credit score will help you buy a house, will help you buy a lot of things. So I'm not gonna get a thought block again. Anyway, my name is Priscilla Kuma. This is Hot Seat 2.0, and I have my colleague Jeff, who is a nurse in the UK, and he's telling you all about the process and all you need to know as a foreign trained nurse before you arrive in UK to work. So let me take you back a little bit. You mentioned that your wife is also a midwife. The best of my knowledge, you went to the UK and you were not married at the time you entered the UK, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so you went back to Ghana to get married and your wife finally came. Do you want to tell me the process? Did she come on your ticket or did she come as an individual?
Okay. So she came on my ticket. So we call that the spousal visa. Okay. And then if you work for the NHS, it's very cheap. Very, very cheap. Some of the advantages for working in the NHS. If you work for a private company, which the NHS does not recognize, but it does recognize for most care homes and private hospitals, that visa does pay for them. So you apply, and it takes about 4 weeks or so, 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, usually eight working days, and they make a decision on it.
Really?
Yeah. Is that fast? Is that fast?
I'm surprised.
Oh yeah, UK, the visa system is that quick. Especially for NHS, your family members, your kids. It's very quick. Usually they say 8 working days, and people get it within the 8 working days. So probably 2 weeks, you get a visa back in Ghana.
Wow. That was very quick. I'm glad she made it that quick. So did she start the nursing preparation process in Ghana before coming in?
Yeah, she had written the IELTS and the CPT back home. So it was just left with the OSCE for her to come and do. And we wanted her to have the independence of choosing where to work and how many hours she would work. And that's why I decided that she comes on the spousal visa and not through an agency, so that she's not contracted. Yeah. So if you didn't want to incur any cost, you could have gotten an agency to file for her to come in, but it comes with lots of implications. So you pay the small money and have your freedom to do what you want to do. So she came in, and then we did some online training for the OSCE, and then she went to sit first time and passed.
Wow. That's impressive. So this goes to somebody who is already in the UK and working and wants to bring a spouse. Now you have this information, you want to bring your child or something. So because I know my friend went in first before she brought her 3 kids and her husband.
Oh.
And they now live together. And one of the things she mentioned is about finding accommodation. I don't remember the city they live in. I've forgotten. But in finding accommodation, she had a very, very, very tough time in getting an accommodation because the landlords wanted to physically see her husband before they can give her the room. Have you heard this before? And do you have anything to say about that?
Yeah, so most of the time it depends on whether you're renting from a landlord or you're renting through an agency. If you're renting through an agency, they don't do much of those checks. But it can be quite tedious looking for an accommodation, especially if you are Black, to say, because it's all about perception. Okay, so if you apply for a property, you go and view, and then you say, "Oh, I'm interested." You can go and view like 10 accommodations, and you might not have gotten any. But here's where time is money, and you can't be moving about looking for accommodation and all of that. So it can be quite difficult. And the kind of accommodation you are looking for, you say they are the flats and then the houses and the bungalows. So for the families, you wouldn't want the flats, because if you have kids and you want a small garden or probably a nice place, then you're thinking of having a house, a bungalow, rather than a flat. And it can be very, very difficult getting accommodation.
Yes, I never heard that before. So that was mind-blowing. She said she had to literally fight and compete with other house viewers. They all met at the same time viewing the house. She had to fake tears and cry and say she's stranded. A whole lot of drama, and I'm so surprised. Yeah. Okay, so that brings me to driving. Mm-hmm. You drive on the left side, correct?
Yeah, we do. You can drive on the right side if you want to go to prison anyway.
Okay, I like that humor. And in Ghana, we drive on the right side. So we're used to driving on the right side. Do you drive? And how different is it to learn to drive now? And what's the process in getting a driving
license? Okay, I wasn't driving back home in Ghana, so I didn't have that dilemma of where to move and where not to move. All I knew was driving left. So you sit on the left and then you follow the left lane, and it's quite easier. If you had driven back home in Ghana, then you find it because the runabout, you go on your left, whilst in Ghana, we go on your right, you see. So I remember I'd used the right before, probably because I've sat in the front seats of drivers or cars in Ghana, so I have that thought. And I was lucky it was night, so there was no car coming from the other end. And it can be quite difficult, but you get used to. Depending on which city you are learning where to drive, it's better if you learn where to drive outside of the cities. And then when you get the experience, you drive into the cities, because the road network can be very complex and very confusing. Yeah.
What is the process in getting a driver's license? I don't think I can drive a license. What do I have to do to get a driver's license over there?
So if you have valid driver's license from Ghana, you can use it for 1 year in the UK whilst you prepare to sit their professional driving license exam. So when you come, you apply for the provisional driver's license. And I think it should have been 3 months in the UK before they give it out. So once you are 3 months, you can apply for that. They send you the card. You use that one to register for the test. So you do a theory test, and that test you have to pass before you can do a practical exam, where you have an examiner sitting right before beside you and then taking you around where you have to drive and the kind of maneuvers they want to see before they will give you a full professional driving license. Yeah.
It's the same process over here too, but nobody in America is going to accept your Ghana driving license. I have a friend in the US here who uses an international driver's license. He got that and he can use that in certain countries. But I used to drive in Ghana, and we still drive on the same side over here, so I didn't have that struggle. And then you take a theory test. Physically, you go to the DMV, Department of Motor and Vehicle. You go there, you take a theory test. Then you schedule a road test where you have somebody sitting by your side. Then they watch you do a parallel parking, 3-point turning, and a whole lot of stop signs. And when you don't turn, sometimes you turn when the light is red.
Yeah.
Yes, that is very confusing. Sometimes you move to the middle and sit in the middle for others to pass before you make a maneuver. And it's only certain states that allow that. And New York State, where I live, is one of the states where you can sit in the middle for those ongoing go before you make a turn. So those are the little things that were different, and they're turning on red within a certain time frame. And the school buses and the school buses stop at the rail lines before they move. They don't just drive on it; they have to stop, and you all stop behind them. Then they move, and a whole lot. So yes, you have given us an in-depth detail about your whole journey and how it's been for you so far. This is going to help a lot of people. I'm very, very, very grateful for your time. And these are just 2 random questions. I don't know if you have any answers to. I'm sure you've seen nursing students do. How is it like to go to nursing school over there? Like fresh from high school, going to nursing school as a college person, or do you know what I'm trying to say? Going to nursing school, is it 4 years? Do they pay cash for it? Did you have any encounter with any nursing students, and how is it like?
Okay, so they do their bachelor's for 3 years.
3 years. Okay.
Yeah, 3 years. And once you start, you are attached to a hospital. That's why I got to know from one of the students whom I did mentor whilst I was working on the wards. And if you are a national, then you get a bursary, I think £5,000 or so. Their fees for nationals is usually about 9,000 or so, £9,700 a year, yeah. So if you get 5,000 a year, then you pay for the rest. And most of them will take the government loan to pay for that. And I think when they get to 3rd year, they start getting paid because they get placement. And then they are paid as, I think, band 3 or band 2 till they complete, and then they come back. And the system of teaching is quite different from what we used to go through. You know, we are given lots of information, but they are giving scanty information for you to do most of the job. So you write reflective essays and all that, and then you submit, and they take it up from there. But yeah, I've seen blacks and other nationals also coming and staying in here and then attending nursing school, either from outside or they've stayed here and they have indefinitely to remain. So they're also enjoying the government bursaries for them, subsidies. Yeah.
To clarify this for me, the school fees is £9,700 and the bursary is 5,000. So when you're done with school, do you owe students loans like all American students? All students loans after school, they are still paying.
Yeah. It's the same system. Yeah. All the universities, they give student loans. So if you qualify, if you're a national, you definitely qualify. But if you're an outsider, I think you have to be 3 years resident in the country before you might qualify for that, or you get your indefinite leave to remain. That is, after living here for 5 years, then you can start gaining some of these benefits. So yeah, so the 5,000 is just the best way to entice people, because you didn't have much nurses. You didn't want to be recruiting international nurses because they come in and then either they leave the trust that they came in to other trusts, or they leave the trust to hospitals, other private facilities, or they leave the country for greener pastures elsewhere. So they wanted to groom their own so that they will stay and then work. So they introduced that bursary. I think it was there, they canceled and then they brought it back so that more people will go into nursing. Yeah.
The 5,000, is it a one-time thing, or is it every year for the 3 years that you?
I think every year for the 3 years, you get 5,000 to offset part of the fees.
We don't travel to these countries just to work. We travel to progress in our career. We travel to go to school. What is it like if somebody has a diploma and wants to get a degree, or has a degree and wants to get master's? I believe you're currently in school. Is there anything, how is the process like to go to school and upgrade?
Yeah, before I come to that, so once you enter the country, there are lots of opportunities. As I said, you use the first 6 months to 12 months to scan and to see things for yourself so that you can choose which area you want to. I've known people who have come in and then within a year, they are lecturers in nursing schools in the UK. So if you have your master's and you have the education back home, you know, the diploma in education or degree in education, then you do apply if there are vacancies. I know a number of Ghanaian nurses who have gotten the opportunity to be lecturers in UK nursing schools, and it's there, and you can easily do it. And so if you also have a diploma, you want to do a degree, you apply. It's quite easy, just that you pay. I think it's 18 months course, conversion course to a bachelor's, and the fees ranges between 6,000 to 8,000 pounds for the whole process. Yeah, and then if you have a degree, you want to do your master's as well, that too is there. You can do it part-time, or if you have the luxury of time, you want to do it full-time, which if you're full-time in your hospital, you might not be able to do. So you do part-time, you pay. Most of the fees range from 15 to 21,000 pounds for the full course. So if you are not more than 3 years resident in the UK, you pay international fees. And if you are a resident, you pay half of that as a national. Yeah.
I don't know when we're going to end this session. I'm enjoying it. It's full of information. I have another 2 key questions. And I hope I don't forget. Let me just say one quickly. So what does it take for, if you come into the country, what kind of visa do you have? And how long does it take for you to become British? That is one of the questions, so I don't forget. The second one, how long is the master's program? 2 years or 3 years? Yes, take those 2 for me before I come again with another question.
Okay, let me take the master's program first. So for the master's program, it's 1 year or 2 years, depending on which course you're doing. And it's usually 1 year for full-time and 2 years for part-time. Yeah, I've seen 3 years part-time as well for people who don't have that much time and they have the lecture spaced out for them. You do it for 3 years. So my course, for instance, I'm doing it 1 year full-time, and yeah, and the indefinite leave to remain, or the permanent residency, you get it after 5 years. So after 5 years, you get the indefinite leave to remain. So you can resign from your hospital and decide to not to work at all and stay at home. But till then, the visa you enter with is a work visa. So you have to work to be legally resident in the country. And that's why
5 years.
Yeah, for 5 years. Yeah. So they will usually give you 3 years or 2 years initially, and then you renew. And once you are moving hospitals you have to change that visa, because every trust has got its own COS, the certificate of sponsorship. So you have to change it and then get a new one. But cumulatively, 5 years, you get your indefinite. And then after a year, after the 6th year, you can apply for your citizenship.
Okay. So this hopefully will be the last question, because we are definitely going to bring you back on the hot seat. We have a lot of questions. And if others have questions, they should leave it in the comment section. I'll do whatever to bring Jeff back onto the hot seat, because I'm sure most of the questions you have are answered. Leave any questions in the comment section below. My last question. So if you work in the NHS, you are attached to one hospital, is there any study or tuition package? Like work for 3 years and we'll pay half of your tuition, or we'll pay your full tuition, or something like that. Because where I work, they have that package. There are certain courses. People are being nurse practitioners, and MP is fully sponsored if you put in 1 year of work. And is there any tuition package for staff members who have worked for some time?
Yeah. So it depends on the department and the trust that you work in the hospital. I've seen people being sponsored to go to, as you said, advanced nursing practice courses. People being sponsored to do, how did you call it? There are a number of the courses. So it has to be something that would impact the service or the department that you're working in. Then the department would sponsor you to do it. But generally, you should be able to get to work, to school, and get paid for it after 5 years. That is generally. But within your trust or within your department, if they need any skill and then they need people to go and do, and then you are picked, irrespective of how long you stay there, probably 6 months, 1 year, 1.5 years, they will still pay for it, and then you do it. When I went to endoscopy, I was just barely 4 months in there, and then my manager wanted me to go and do clinical assessment service course with the Elite University, but I had gotten the clinician job and I had to leave, so I didn't take it up. So you can get it as easily as within that short period. And if your manager doesn't like you, then you stay there and work for them and get your salary and leave without any development. That too happens.
So I seem to know a lot of people, and I speak to people because I like information. I like to ask a lot of questions just to broaden my own knowledge and horizon. So I know that there are 2 nurses who come from Ghana, but they live in the UK. One of them came into the system, and her job is an awesome. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
There was echoing there, but I think it's better now. So her job is to be an OSCE trainer. So she is not going to be working like the typical hospital setting. She came in to be an OSCE trainer. So she's in training to be an OSCE trainer. I know another person who came in as an endoscopy person, and he's going to head an endoscopy unit. So I think there are varieties of places people can work, and that is very good. I lied about my last question, but for this time, I promise this is going to be my very, very last question. Yes. And you're going to come back and clarify a lot. So this is my last question, because I have to go, you have to go. It's been a long day. Childcare. Let's say you bring in your kids. At what age can they go to school? And is it free for them to go to daycare, kindergarten? Is it free?
Okay, I think childcare, the age for which they can go for free start at 3. So below that, you would have to pay to put them into either nursery or childcare or whatever it is. I've not had a personal experience yet, but I know that's what the system is. That's the standard. So after 3 years, then they can go to school and start school for free. And then below that, you would have to arrange and pay for that. And at times the cost can cost as much as £700 a month.
They're below 3.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'm sticking to my promise. As I said, this is my very last question. It's been so great to have you on the show. You're so full of information, and I'm so proud to call myself a friend and colleague. And we hope to see you on the hot seat again, and hope everybody has enjoyed this session. If you have any questions, leave it down. And this is Jefferson. We all schooled in University of Ghana, Legon back in the day. He's in the UK. I am Priscilla Kumar, registered nurse in the US. My channel is full of nursing stuff, travel, vlog, lifestyle interviews. And let me know if you want me to interview anybody. And shout out to everybody who has subscribed. And if you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? Am I not fabulous? Please subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye. Take care.